Yes, thank you, Honorable Ibra.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the Majority Leader, I do give out the notice paper of this of today's 11th and 12th March 2025. On Tuesday, 11th March 2025, 9:30 a.m., we have papers. One, the report of the House Business Committee on the approval of Dr. Simon Waweru Kanyinge, Ms. Juliana Siwaewu Sinanga, and Mr. Peter Mungai Kiongo as CCM members, sponsored by Honorable Samuel Chege Gadrimu, Vice Chairperson's House Business Committee. Second paper, the report of the Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT on the approval of Mr. Frederick Irongo Geshohe as Chief Officer for Finance, sponsored by Honorable Sakre Mwangijeru, Chairpersons, Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT. Third paper, the report of the Committee on Land, Fiscal Planning and Urban Development on the approval of persons for positions of board members in our Kalau Municipality and Engineer Municipality, sponsored by Honorable John Duo Gashino, Chairperson's Committee on Land, Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. On notices of motion, notice of motion on the report of the House Business Committee on the approval of Dr. Simon Waweru Kanyinge, Ms. Juliana Siwaewu Sinanga, and Mr. Peter Mungai Kiongo as CCM members by Honorable Samuel Chege Gadrimu, Vice Chairperson's House Business Committee. Notice of motion on the report of the Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT on the suitability for approval of Mr. Frederick Irogo Geshohe as Chief Officer for Finance by Honorable Sakre Mwangijero, Chairperson's Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT. That notice of motion on the report of the Committee on Lands, Fiscal Planning and Urban Development on suitability for approval of persons for positions of board members in our Kalau Municipality and Engineer Municipality by Honorable John Duo Gashino, Chairperson's Committee on Lands, Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. On statements, response on the statement sought by Honorable Mary Wajiko Kabiro on the status of maternity beds transferred from Makedo Dispensary during COVID-19 pandemic in year 2020. Sponsored by Honorable Paul Geshawabaira, Chairperson's Committee on Health Services. Motions and bills. Motion on the adoption of the report of the Committee on the County Public Accounts and the Investments Committee on consideration of the reports of the Auditor General on our Kalau Water and Sanitation Company for the period ended 30th June 2021 and 30th June 2022, sponsored by Honorable Duncan Gideji Chege, Chairperson's Committee on Public Accounts and Investments. Honorable Speaker, today at 2:30 p.m., we have a paper on report of the Committee on implementation on the status of Assembly resolutions, sponsored by Honorable Joyfrey Waluiru Kamwana, Chairperson's Committee on Implementation. On notice of motion, we have a notice of motion on the adoption of the report of the Committee on implementation of the status of implementation of Assembly resolutions, same by Honorable Joyfully Waluiru Kamwana, Chairperson's Committee on Implementation. On motions and bills, we have a motion on the report of the Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT on the approval of Mr. Frederick Irogo Geshohe as Chief Officer for Finance. Procedural and substantive motion by Honorable Sakari Mwagijero, Chairperson's Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT. Honorable Speaker, tomorrow Wednesday, 12th of March 2025 at 9:30 a.m., we'll have a paper on the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriations on the Nyandarua County Fiscal Strategy Paper, CFSP, for financial year 2025-2026, and the Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy Paper 2025 by Honorable Isaac Kongo Wanjiro, Chairperson Budget and Appropriation Committee. On notice of motion, a notice of motion on the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriation on the Nyandarua County Fiscal Strategy Paper, CFSP, for financial year 2025-2026, and the Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy Paper 2025, sponsored by Honorable Isaac Kongo Wanjiro, Chairperson's Budget and Appropriation Committee. On motions and bills, we'll have a motion on the report of the House Business Committee on the suitability for approval of Dr. Simon Wawero Kanyinge, Ms. Juliana Siweu Sinanga, and Mr. Peter Mungai Kiongo as CCM members by Honorable Samuel Chegagadrimo, Vice Chairpersons, House Business Committee. Second motion on the report of the Committee on Lands, Fiscal Planning and Urban Development on the approval of persons for positions of board members in Orkalau Municipality and Engineer Municipality by Honorable John Duogashino, Chairpersons Committee on Land, Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. Honorable Speaker, on tomorrow at 12th March 2025 at 2:30 p.m., we will have motions and bills. That's motion on the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriation on the Nyandarua County Fiscal Strategy Paper, CFSP, for the financial years 2025-2026, and Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy Paper 2025. That's procedural and substantive motion by Honorable Isaac Kongo Wajiro, Chairperson's Budget and Appropriation Committee. Honorable Speaker, this notice of paper is prepared and published pursuant to Standing Orders 40 and 41 and signed by the Clerk of the Nyandarua County Assembly, Mr. Mukiri Mushiri. On behalf of Majority Leader, I do table.
Thank you. The notice paper is duly tabled. Clerk, next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Under this order, Honorable Speaker, there are several papers to be read, starting with Honorable Samuel Chegagadrimo, the Vice Chair, House Business Committee.
Very well. The Honorable Samuel Chegagadrimo, the Deputy Speaker, Vice Chairperson, House Business Committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to table the report on the suitability of Dr. Simon Wawero Kanyinge, Ms. Juliana Siweu Sinanga, and Mr. Peter Mungai Kiongo for appointment as members of the Nyandarua County Executive Committee, and I table. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The report is duly tabled. The same shall be processed as directed by the House Business Committee, pursuant to Standing Order 157.5D. Clerk, next order.
There's a report by Honorable Zachary Mwagijero, the Chairperson, Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT.
Very well. Honorable Zachary Mwanginjeru, Chairperson, Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to table the 19th report of the Finance and Economic Planning and ICT Committee on the suitability of Mr. Frederick Kirogo Gishuhi for the appointment as the Chief Officer for Finance and ICT.
Very well, the report is duly tabled. The same shall be processed as directed by the House Business Committee pursuant to Standing Order 157, 5D. The same should be moved in the afternoon, and therefore I direct that the same should be circulated to all members so that they can appraise themselves with it. Clerk, next order.
Order number, under the same order, there's a paper by Honorable John Gashino, the Chairperson, Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development.
Very well. Honorable John Gashino, Chairperson, Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would beg to table the report on suitability of nominees for appointment to the position of members of Olkarau and Engineer Municipalities Boards, and I table.
The report is duly tabled. The same shall be processed as directed by the House Business Committee, that is pursuant to Standing Order 157, 5D. Clerk, next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Under this order, there is a notice of motion by Honorable Samuel Chegagadrimo, the Vice Chair, House Business Committee.
Very well. Honorable Samuel Chegagadrimo, Vice Chair, House Business Committee, and Chairperson Eliasson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give the notice of the following motion. That this House does adopt the report of the House Business Committee on the approval of Dr. Simon Waweru Kanyinge, Ms. Juliana Sioweo Sinanga, and Mr. Peter Mungai Kiongo as CECM members, as a report of the House and the recommendations therein as the resolutions of the House, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 179 of the Constitution of Kenya and sections 30 and 35 of the County Government Act. A, this House does approve the nomination for appointment of Dr. Simon Waweru Kanyinge as the County Executive Committee member for Public Service Administration and Devolution. B, this House does approve the nomination for appointment of Ms. Juliana Sioweo Sinanga for appointment as the County Executive Committee member for Health Services. And C, this House does approve the nomination for appointment of Mr. Peter Mungai Kiongo for appointment as the County Executive Committee member for Youth Empowerment, Sports, and the Arts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Notice of motion is duly given, and the same shall be processed as directed by the House Business Committee, that is pursuant to Standing Order 157, 5D. Clerk, next order.
Under the same order, there is a notice of motion by Honorable Zachary Mwanginjeru, the Chairperson, Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT.
Very well. Honorable Zachary Mwanginjeru, Chairperson, Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT, member for Nyeke Ward.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House does adopt the report of the Committee on Finance, Economic Planning and ICT on the approval of Mr. Frederick Kirogo Gishuhi as Chief Officer for Finance as a report of the House, and the recommendations therein as the resolutions of the House, and pursuant to the provision of Section 45 of the County Government Act, this House does approve the nomination for appointment of Mr. Frederick Kirogo Gishuhi as Chief Officer for Finance, and to that effect, thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The notice of motion is duly given, and the same shall be processed as directed by the House Business Committee, that is pursuant to Standing Order 157, 5D. Clerk, next order.
Under the same order, there is a notice of motion by Honorable John Dugashino, the Chairperson, Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development.
Very well. Honorable John Dugashino, Chairperson, Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That this House does adopt the report of the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development on the approval of persons for positions of board members in Olkara Municipality and Engineer Municipalities as a report of the House and the recommendations therein as the resolution of the House and the pursuant to the position of Section 14 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act. This House does approve the nomination for appointment of Mrs. Coretta Wangui Megwe as a member of Olkara Municipality Board. Number 2, this House does approve the nomination for appointment of Ms. Zerifa Jerry Kafuga as a member of Olkara Municipality Board. 3, this House does approve the nomination for appointment of Honorable Daniel Kefefo Gadenge Loala as a member of the Engineer Municipality Board. And lastly, this House does approve the nomination for appointment of Ms. Mele Wajiro Getau as a member of the Engineer Municipality Board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honorable John Dugashino. Notice of motion is duly given, and the same shall be processed as directed by the House Business Committee. That is pursuant to Standing Order 157-5D. Clerk, next order.
Order number 7, statements. Under this order, there is a statement by Honorable Paul Gesho-Wambaire, the Chairperson, Committee on Health Services.
Very well. Honorable Paul Gesho-Wambaire, Chairperson, Committee on Health Services, member for Kipipiri Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There was a statement that was raised by Mary Wajiko Kabiru. And she was concerned that before 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, the Mukido dispensary had a maternity department with 10 beds, which effectively served mothers with antenatal, maternity, and postnatal health care. And that the beds were on 21st March 2022 transported to JM Kariuki Memorial County Referral Hospital to be used in the COVID-19 emergency and isolation center. She was further concerned that the removal of the beds has denied the people of Rurie Ward maternity services, and that the dispensary was in the process of being upgraded to a level 3 health facility, that is health center. A process that has been delayed by lack of adequate equipment, which include maternity beds. So she had 3 issues which the committee has addressed, and I will go straight, because the report is shared on the tablet, I will go straight to the responses. That, in case you don't have it, you just need to refresh the gadget, and it will be displayed. Roman 1, the status of delivery of health services in Mukido dispensary, including the status of maternity health care services. Mr. Speaker, we have the type of service and the status. Clinical services at Mukido, that is outpatient services. Now this is dispensary. There is consultation and facility dispensing area. Available services are offered for 12 hours. Maternal health services, maternity awaiting operationalization by provision of equipment and staffing. However, they are able to handle emergency cases. And Mr. Speaker, because of abbreviation, it is well addressed on page 3. MCH stands for maternal care health. There is antenatal services, postnatal services, and family planning services are available during the day. Referral services, patients are referred to JM County Referral Hospital. Other services offered at Mukindo Dispensary, there is client health education available during the day. Public health services, there is a public health officer attached to the facility. Coordination of PCNS, that is primary care network. The facility has one community unit, and a community health assistant is available. Note better, only one nurse is available to offer services in the facility. There are plans to increase the number in future to enhance service delivery. Roman 2, whether the beds that were removed from Kedo Dispensary were to be returned, and if in the affirmative, provide information on when they will be returned or else. The CCM explained that 8 beds were borrowed from Mukendo Dispensary to assist in establishment of an isolation ward at JM Kariuki Memorial County Referral Hospital during the COVID-19 pandemic before the arrival of the COVID beds. However, they were to be replaced by the available COVID beds. Notably, the county has excess beds spread across our facility and can easily be redistributed. Roman 3, analysis of the infrastructure, equipment, and services available at the dispensary. The population of the geographical area and whether the dispensary should be upgraded into a level 3 hospital at the facility and funds needed to upgrade the dispensary in view of the existing parameters set by the World Health Organization. A, infrastructure analysis. Mr. Speaker, the infrastructure status of Mukido Dispensary is as follows. We have one outpatient department, one dressing room, one consultation room, pharmacy room, it's one, FP room, one, triage room, one, maternal block, one, staff house, one, toilets, 2, water tank, 2, burning chamber, 1. Available equipment. We have 2 fridges, but they are non-functional. Autoclaving machine, we have 1 which is functional. Weighing machine, 1 which is functional. We have 3 tables, usable. We have 3 coaches, usable. Blood pressure machines, 1 functional, 1 glucometer, and it is functional. Services available in the facility. We have 3 outpatient services, maternal, antenatal, and postnatal services. Population of the geographical area. The catchment population of Mukido Dispensary is 4,355 persons. C, funds required to upgrade the facility. The CCM maintained that based on the catchment population, the facility does not meet the criteria for upgrade to level 3, which requires a population of 10,000 persons. Honorable Speaker, after analyzing the above response, the committee noted that Mukendo Dispensary provides essential services, but faces significant challenges in staffing, equipment, and infrastructure. While the dispensary does not meet the population threshold for upgrade to a level 3 hospital, improving its service delivery staffing level will be crucial to meeting the health needs of the community. A focused effort to operationalize the maternity services and address equipment shortages will enhance its capability to serve the population effectively. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Constitution 2010 provides for the right to the highest attainable standard of health to every Kenyan, and place a fundamental duty on the state to take legislative, policy, and other measures, including the setting of standards, to achieve progressive realization of the rights set out under Article 43, which include the right to health. This constitutional provision determines the rules and obligation of the health sector to facilitate progressive realization by all to the right to health. Strengthening the health sector through policy, adequate financing, planning, recruitment, training, development, and detention is paramount to ensuring everyone has access to a qualified health worker, thus improving the ability of health system to achieve the intended goal. As a county, we must ensure sufficient budgetary provision in the health sector and that the staffing gaps are adequately addressed in all reform where medical services are provided. Mr. Speaker, I take this chance to thank the committee member who have cooperated when we are coming up with this report. Also, we wish to thank your office and that of the clerk for facilitating the committee and offering relevant technical expertise. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Ngeshe. The response report is duly tabled and read. Maybe the seeker. And the seeker was Honorable Mary Wanjiku Kabiru. Not present. Any reaction from any member? Yes, Honorable, yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, I wish to thank the seeker of this statement and equally thank the committee for attempting to respond to the statement. Of importance to note, Mr. Speaker, is the requirement or is the question in the statement on whether the beds were removed from Mukendo dispensary were to be returned, and if in the affirmative provide information on when they will be returned or else replaced Mr. Speaker, the committee has given an answer here, and they have affirmed that in fact the beds were taken from Mukendo dispensary to assist in establishment of an isolation ward at JM Kariuki Memorial County Referral Hospital during the COVID-19 pandemic before the arrival of the COVID beds. But, Mr. Speaker, and which I seek the response of the committee, is that they note the beds were taken and they were to be replaced by the available COVID beds. Notably, the county has excess beds spread across our facilities and can easily be redistributed. Mr. Speaker, since the statement is owned now by the House, it is important we be told whether exactly were they replaced, were they taken back. And this information, Mr. Speaker, is very important because we don't know which other facility, from which other facility the beds were taken and whether they were replaced. Because, Mr. Speaker, these beds, if not replaced, could be greatly inconveniencing the patients being attended at Mukendo and any other dispensary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable DS. Clerk, next order.
Order number 8, Mr. Speaker, sir. We have a motion to be moved by Honorable Duncan Githinji Chege, the Chairperson, Committee on Public Accounts and Investments.
Very well. Honorable Duncan Githinji Chege, Chairperson, Committee on Public Accounts and Investment Committee, and member for Gatibu Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the County Public Account and Investment Committee is set to present the Auditor General report on Olkarau Water and Sanitation Company for financial year 2021 and 2022. However, a past court ruling has serious implication on reports submitted beyond the statutory timelines. On 2014 judgment by Justice Jailus Nyaga ruled that Auditor General report must be completed and submitted within 6 months after the financial year ends. Additionally, the County Assembly must review and act on this report within 3 months. If these deadlines are missed, the report and any action based on them become legally invalid. In recent case, the Nairobi City County Assembly had an audit report outside these timelines. leading the court to declare the report null and void. The ruling reinforces that constitutional deadline cannot be ignored or extended. Since the report said to be tabled or exceed the constitutional timelines, the committee must seek guidance from the Speaker on how to proceed. I wish to table legal opinion. Allow me to table, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The same is tabled, duly tabled.
Mr. Speaker, in light of judgment delivered by Justice Jailus Nga, which declared that any Auditor General report submitted or considered outside the constitutional timelines are null and void, we seek your guidance on the tabling on the report on Olkara Water and Sanitation Company for the period ending June 30th, 2021 and June 30th, 2022. Additionally, we request direction on the measure that should be taken to ensure compliance with the court ruling and constitutional requirement moving forward, while noting that we have many reports dating back to the Second Assembly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Duncan. Now that has taken a new dimension, and I've just received this legal opinion, I wish to state that I would give directions, having looked at this legal report. We'll look at it, we'll commit it to all the relevant legal department, then I'll give a comprehensive ruling in form of direction. In that spirit, we may not be able to proceed with that order on the basis that is affecting all the reports. But now we need to scrutinize it and give directions in regard to that.
Maybe point of clarification.
Yes, Honorable Milka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, it's a new dimension that has been taken by that report. But probably we will need to know whether the report was tabled in this assembly in time or what happened. Did we receive that report in time? What happened with the report, so that we know where the problem is? Because surely a report from the Auditor General having some legal advices and opinion because of delay or lapse of time, that's a serious issue that needs addressed. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, clarification would be, was it tabled in time? What happened? Who delayed the report? Is it the Assembly or the Executive or the Auditor General himself?
Thank you, Honorable Milka. The same will be factored in our comprehensive directions when we look at it. Clerk, next order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we've exhausted the business as highlighted in the morning sessions order paper.
There being no other business to transact under this sitting, I now adjourn the House to Tuesday, the 11th day of March 2025 at 2:30 p.m.